Hey everybody, welcome back to Stratego Freaks for another fun video. Today's just a straight up match between me and Hielco. Hielco is a very strong player, one of the best online guys out there. I do believe he was #1 on the old Stratego site and has pretty much kept up his high level performances on Strategus. He was, I think, 750 roundabout when we played this game. And I was excited to play him again. We had played once previous on Strategus, and he outplayed me in the end. I was doing really well, and then his experience just kind of, and my poor play, of course, in the last few moves, kind of dictated where that match was going to end up, and he did get the victory. So I was excited to get this shot, and I played pretty well. I did, I reviewed the game a couple times, and I do see where I make some mistakes in there that could have made it maybe a cleaner win. But, I'm not going to argue with the outcome of a victory against a player the caliber of Hielco. So I'm not going to beat myself up for those mistakes, especially after getting a victory. If you look at the setup here, I've got my flag in a fairly unusual place. I normally don't do this. In the past, I had placed it on J9 and J8. And that, can sometimes, depending on what takes place during the game, when it gets down to the end, it's very hard to place a flag in those two locations, especially if you're kind of trying to bait them into it. And that was my goal, was to get it to the end game and hopefully have him hit this corner bomb as a decoy shot and maybe get the advantage because of it. And that was my reasoning there. Also, I wanted a lot of power here on this left side and leave the blood and bones over here on the right alone as much as I could. The goal would be for him to discover this captain, hopefully come down with a major colonel. Who knows? He might just come in and take it, and I'm willingly going to give up the information with the general. Sometimes guys like to follow up and do an exchange or attack, and he may think that this is my marshal is the spy, and even if I have to come over and hit something, sometimes you can pick up a piece. So I just wanted to try that out and see how he reacted to it. And let's just get the game going here and see what happens. So this was a 472 move game. Not quite a super grind, but a pretty good game nonetheless. All right, so let's just keep moving. All right, so he did come down with the major as planned, and I insta-hit and get that back. So, at this point, I moved the colonel over once again to just create a little bit of confusion. At this point, he doesn't know what this my marshal is or the colonel. It could be either one, could be a spy, and I just wanted to keep things confusing as best I could. So I'm just going to shuffle around a little bit and see what comes down. Now, I thought for sure that if this was a high piece, that it would probably just come down and possibly attack. So I just kind of wanted it to sit there. If something did come down, I would probably drop it and then just insta-hit with my marshal, regardless if it was a scouting piece or not. Even if he gets the info early on my marshal and my general, I can split them between this half of the board and stop anything coming down. And he's going to have to navigate through, as I mentioned earlier, my blood and bones bomb setup on the right side of the board here. Let's keep going. So he's coming in, and I'm going to take that. And I'm just trying to get material here. That's kind of what I've been doing lately, is picking up a captain, major, and have it, and then trying to maintain that. And it's very hard to. I mean, against good players, once they get information on any piece, it becomes a target. But if you can call a couple of bluffs and make some good reads, you can parlay those advantages into the end, and eventually they just run out of pieces and attacking chances if you're up. So that was kind of my mindset in this game. Let's keep going. So he's coming down, and he hits. So now we're captains up here. Let's keep going. So he comes in hot with this Colonel. Now, Colonel spawned from here. And I'm already, when a game starts, even after the first few moves, I try to what your opponent does kind of tells a story, and the story can lead to the location of pieces. It's like a map almost. So generally, colonels are usually protected by the marshal. So I'm already thinking that possibly the marshal is on this side of the board. That's just something I consider once I start to find pieces out. Let's keep going. So that sucked. And, looking at this setup now, I'm probably going to end up moving this major here because of the fact that it can be scouted and just trapped, just like it was when, as soon as it opened up, I'm like, he's going to discover it, and it is what it is. But I had the advantage, so it would be even if we did exchange, if he did take that. So let's keep going, and that's exactly what he's going to do. At this point, I tried to create a little opening here and bluff to see if I could find a piece. So I want to come onto this and use this 6 to discover, and then bluff this scout as a high piece and maybe find another one. Because my real focus is trying to figure out what's happening with these pieces 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm thinking that maybe the marshal or spy is on this side. So he discovers it. That sucked. And he's coming down again. And I figured that would be a scouting piece. I could be totally wrong. All right, so now I'm going to pick up that. So we're evening out the board. And I do not mind giving that up. So I'm going to hit. And, now he has full information pretty much on my general and marshal, which sucks, but I do have this side kind of blocked off nicely. Let's keep going. So he wants that, and he's coming in, and he doesn't quite know what to expect from that. He's coming in, and he is scouting. Now I decide to do the same thing instead of just losing it, and I would have thought, now that this is pinched off by this or this, that he would have just moved on it. If this wasn't a takeable piece, he would have moved over, but he didn't. Let's keep going. So I just go, you know what? I'm going to find out what's happening here. I get that 7, and I hit. I like getting that scout, and now there's a major and a colonel on this side of the board. So I'm eyeing this piece possibly as something right now. Let's keep going. So I'm going to push up, and after a lot of deliberation, I said, all right, let me discover this, see what it is. I'm going to push up on both of these. He moves over. I'm going to scout because I wasn't sure if this was a high piece. That would kind of be an indicator of what I can do over here. Now, at every point in the game, it seems like you've got to take a chance. And I felt as if his marshal was here, and the goal would be to pick up clearly the major here, and then just hit what was here. And I know it's kind of a risk, but I wanted to see if I could parlay that. I mean, you go against a guy like Hielco, you're going to have to take some chances if you want to win. And I realize that any advantage is better than just no advantage. So I decide to come in and hit and get another major. He moves, and then boom, we pick that up. And, if we look at the boneyard here, I've got the major. We're even in captains, and I've got the extra 6. So I'm okay with that. Now I'm pushing up. Now this is surprising. I think this was a mistake. I mean, maybe he wanted to keep it so he could possibly trap another, maybe my major or something of that nature. But having known that these have moved, I'm surprised he didn't exchange, because it allows me to, here, let me go backwards, get another piece. And he moves again. So I come back, and he moves down, and I forgot what that was. Like, and this is some of the things in my game I need to button up. I forgot. I thought it was, but I wasn't sure. So I decided it best that I hit with the 6 here. I hate when I do that. I always have a memory blop sometime during the match. It sucks. So there you go. And I picked that up. And I can't be sure where his gen is. All right, so there's another piece which I'm not bitter about finding. And I got to stop anything coming down. So I'm going to slide this over and check that. He kind of bluffed me there. Now I'm looking at this one as definitely a general, potentially a general. He let me get that. And I guess maybe he forgot this was my general and he wanted to see, or he just assumed that it was kind of a dead piece. I'm not sure. He was maybe trying to free it. Let's just go. So I get that. I'm stoked on that. And he's kind of playing games here. Now I come across and come in and pick up another captain. So I was very confused at what this could be. And turns out I didn't want to risk it. And this, I do believe this was a mistake, but I needed to know for sure. I had information on one of his colonel here and a major here. This could be a colonel or the gen, and I wanted to hit it now just to see, because I do have the major advantage, so it would just be even. I don't think I should have hit with this piece though, and that's my mistake. So boom, okay. Now, as you can see, I am very vulnerable here. He's got information on 3 of my bombs, and I thought he might just start to lotto, but he wasn't willing to risk it at this point in the game. I think if he were to go down his general, it would be very hard for him to win, considering what's taking place on the board right now. So he was being real patient, but I still didn't like it. All right, we'll get rid of that spy. Now I decide to, let's keep going. Oh yeah, this was kind of an important move. I'm going to back up and I'll explain why. This piece comes up, it moves up, and I come on to it, and he wants me to chase it. That's what I almost went after it, but I felt like I didn't have to chase it right now because I can stop it. What made me think is that he had something that he wanted to bring down, and he could have done a lot of damage had I come off. It would have allowed passage for possibly a piece to come down, whether it was a minor or his colonel. Could be, almost anything, because I don't have a lot of protection over here now. So I decided to leave the colonel over there. Okay, now he discovers that, and I move my gen over to stop him from just coming down and taking. He still doesn't know what these are. This could very well be a tripod or a bomb, or this could be a tripod. So he's being very stingy at the moment. I thought for sure he was going to hit here. Let's keep going. So I decide I'm going to push him out and let's see what he does. So he's coming across, and I was like, oh God, here we go. And I thought he might hit that and then straight down, but he didn't. He moved up, and that's actually the best case scenario for me right now, to get him out of this corner. He can no longer come down and lotto, and that's good for me, because I felt like he might just do it. All right, so then I scout there. Now that's huge. It was a piece, and it can't get out now, so it's bottled in. At least, it's just a wash. He can't move, and I'm pinning down anything else that might want to come down. So I'm trying to do a little discovery action and make him react. We're going to exchange there. This is a vulnerable piece. I do have the advantage now, so I'm not super concerned. I hate giving up anything for nothing, but you know the way I see it, it wasn't going to make it anyway. So we exchanged there. Now I'm bringing up my major, activating that sucker, and I'm just going to exchange. I probably should have kept running this over here and made things very stingy on him, but I didn't. And let me know what you think if I should have just kept that 6 alive. All right, so I'm bringing out my other captain. Now I have the advantage in the captain, so I need to parlay that advantage into a strong endgame. And I want to stop that, and I just want to get rid of it. So I get that. That's another one. I'm surprised that that's the second piece he kind of gave up there. Let me actually go backwards previous. So it wasn't discovered. So maybe he thought it could be a minor. So I guess that was his reasoning there. So he had to hit, but I love that. And I'll tell you where another mistake I make. Okay, he's trapped. I know he's going to take it. I didn't have to chase him down there. I should have just left the captain here. For one, in order for him to get out, he's going to have to come by it. And two, it stops anything possibly coming down. So I wasted, 4 moves here to go get him when I didn't need to. He wasn't coming out anyway. So these are the little details I think are important in a match. I'm just wasting moves. Let's keep going. So he's there, and I come down like, oh, why? It doesn't make any sense to me. So we're stuck down here. I could have had my captain here blocking it off, but no, I didn't. And then this I know is a minor, just waiting for the moment to strike. So I have to be super careful in this position here. Okay, so that's gone. Now, I kind of fumble around here a little bit, not quite sure how to get my pieces up. And this is where the danger lies. He has a 6, and my 5 is slightly out of, although it is blocking pieces from coming down. If he can exchange, which this becomes a real possibility, I couldn't tell what this was. If I push out, let's say I try to come up here with my 6, and he exchanges 2s and then just runs down with his 6, like let's say this is, I can't stop anything, right? And the same thing on this side. If he exchanges and I'm out of position, he can get something down. So I need to be very mindful of what is coming down. Now this is where I kind of blow it. Once again, you got to make decisions. A lot of these are 50-50s. It could be anything. And boom, now he's back another piece. That's actually really big for him. It does give me information on there, but I sure as heck could have used that extra 7, but it is what it is. All right, so I'm going to exchange. Now, hopefully, I have several minors left, and it looks like if we're looking at the remaining bomb or piece formation here, it could be a tripod here or here, and I'm trying to figure, I'm already looking at like, what is it going to take for me to get a minor up there and still be able to protect my position. Now, the one thing I have going for me is the fact that my flag is in this awkward spot. It's pretty hard to place it there. Let's keep going. Okay, so he realized I'm coming in to take it, and he wanted to get rid of that piece. Now, he still has a scout on the board, which is definitely a factor. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. So I don't like this, and I want to push on him. He's going to push on me, and I'm fine with that. I just wanted to get rid of that piece, and I'm going to lose this minor, which sucks. Now, by moving this over, it creates this file, a runway for this minor here. So that's the one I know that I'm going to have to get down. This guy's kind of stuck, clearly, because of the piece location over here. I'm just going to leave it. He's going to want to test that and see what that is. It does look like a minor if you're asking me. Possible flag, but the fact that I'm kind of coveting these pieces over here, it would be more likely that it would be a corner flag. But I'm like, all right, I need to get something up. And I've got 2 pieces here. A spy for, I could use as a bait or whatever. Let's see what happens. So I need to clear it out and open there. Now here comes his minor on that side. Now I've got this kind of open. And although the spy provides no protection from a scout, he doesn't know what it is. So it's once again, it's just piling up on top of my flag there. So he's coming down, and I decide I'm gonna make my move. Now here's my dilemma. I don't know. He's got extra pieces on the board. He's got minors. He's got a 7 and a scout. I can't be sure, but in my thought process, where would his scout be? Probably in the end game, one of the moving pieces that's out. My thought was if he had a protector back on this, if this is the tripod, which it definitely looks like, this piece here on H1 would be the one that would hit or come up to stop something penetrating on this side. So my thought process, I had to make a decision now, and I said this one is the scout, this one is the piece. I'm just gonna come down with my 5 and hit this, regardless if it's a bomb, because if this is the scout, he's got nothing to stop me from coming down and going across. And that's what my thought process was in real time. So I'm gonna come around. Now this is where it's danger, Will Robinson. He is on this, and if I move out of the way, I could be in a serious trouble here because he's got to make a decision too, though. So let's go. I bring this down to stop this from coming across. And here I make my move. I'm going. And then let's see, he moves that. So I'm pushing here. At first, I was just going to come in, hit, and go across. That would have ended the game for me, or at least would have stopped me from getting to the flag. So I decide, you know what? I'm moving my 5, and I'm going to come down. And once I push, he moves. And I'm like, shit, now it's pinned in. So I couldn't be sure if this was the scout or not, but I had to make a decision. The only thing I could do is to move it onto it. I went with my gut and said, this is the scout. And I push on it, and he moves. At that moment, I have a clear runway to the flag. Now, what I do have to be careful of is that this is still vulnerable. If let's see what he does here. I'm coming over, and I'm not going to take, because if I do, he potentially can get in here. So let's watch what happens here. I let him hit the corner, okay? Now I'm in. He could move over here, but he's going to move. He's coming in. I open it. He takes there and move, and boom, there's the flag. I did get a little lucky there. Clearly, having his scout, making the read on that scout was pretty important. And he did give up, I think, a couple of pieces unnecessarily. But I do believe one of them was just because he wanted to see if it was a minor. But, at the end of the day, the flag location definitely helped, and getting up some material advantages, and then, making sure I had a runway to the flag in the end game there was really important. So I'm super stoked about this game. Hielco is, like, as I mentioned, one of the best players out there. So, I do cherish moments when I play well against these good players. Anyways, guys, I hope this video gives a little insight in your next match, and maybe you could get a win because of some of the skills and techniques that were displayed in this match today. Anyways, have a great day, everybody. I'll see you on Strategos, and I hope to beat you there, too. Bye now.